There's only one reason this country has been at war for the last 15 years or so. It seems like forever we've been at war. And that is the government military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex that the great general and President Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us about. Eisenhower was the supreme Allied commander in World War II. He led he supervised, or shall I say, led the invasion of Normandy, the beaches of Normandy, for example. He was the number one guy. He went all the way back to World War I. He became the president in the 1950s. And the man was anti-war. The man said, beware the military-industrial complex. In fact, if you have that sound, we're going to play it in the next segment on the show, because that's what we're living through right now. I know young men who have fought in Iraq and are fighting in Afghanistan. I've asked them, why are we there? They said, we don't know. They have no idea what their mission is. Nobody knows what the hell we're doing in Afghanistan. All they know is that they've been sent there and they have to come back in one piece. And all they know is that they're sent there for reasons somebody else knows, but they don't know. There is no mission. There is no purpose to the mission. And the only people who are for the war, certainly not the left wing doesn't want us to be in Afghanistan, even though they egged it on for years. Remember all the years that Bush was in Iraq? The vermin on the left was saying, oh, it's the wrong war. You should have invaded Afghanistan. They used to call the show. Why should you invade Afghanistan? Did the Afghanis attack us on 9/11? Afghanistan is a country that is run by troglodytes, medieval cavemen, troglodytes who circumcise their women with blunt instruments. They live in caves. They kill each other. They have been killing each other. They beat the British 3 times. There's no end in sight to the war. It has bankrupted our treasury. But more importantly, it has committed mayhem against our young men.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
That's Eisenhower warning us back in the 50s about the emerging military-industrial complex, which is why we are in Afghanistan. Don, are you yourself? Don, are you yourself? Do I understand that you are a Vietnam vet or not?
No, I'm not, sir. No, I was. My father's a World War II vet. He just passed away 2 months ago, and he had the Purple Heart, and he always warned me as a boy. He said, "Do not get fooled. World War II was a necessary war, but do not get fooled by these other wars. It's fought for the rich." And that's why it's so brilliant that you played Eisenhower's farewell address, which I believe was given in 59 or 60, because Eisenhower, who was a great leader, saw what was coming. And all these stupid conservative Republicans who don't even understand anything about history, they're not Barry Goldwater.
Don, why in the world do you think other conservatives in the media, not all of them, but most of them, wrap themselves in this warmongering? What the hell is wrong with them?
They're whores, Michael. They're bought and paid for. I really believe they know.
Well, wait. I wouldn't say that, truthfully. I mean, nice to say because they're my competitors, but I don't believe it's that they're whores. Do you think that they just don't even know what the hell they're talking about?
Well, how could they not? I mean, O'Reilly's not a stupid guy. I mean, he's not stupid.
Of all of the triumvirate, O'Reilly is the best educated. He has a real master's degree from Harvard. He knows what's going on. I can't say the same for the others. I really can't. Truthfully, I think many of them are ignoramuses, to be honest. Very shrewd, very successful ignoramuses. And they seem to be simply repeating what the hell the Republican Party tells them to say, or what they think the Republican Party sort of stands for.
Right. Well, I've never made $20 million a year, Michael. I probably never will. But it might be tempting when you get there that you might just compromise your principles, I mean, I have no other reason. I can't figure out why these guys, the triumvirate, is not telling the truth to the American people. But, it's very sad. You hit the nail on the head so many times. This was the most brilliant show you've ever had. And I've been listening to you for many years. And I agree with you, not on 100%, but about 95% of what you say. It was the white, blue-collar people who got Obama in office. And
that's exactly right. And by the way, then they've now moved away from him, and they say, well, it's because of the economy. That has a big part of it. But I think subliminally, I believe subconsciously as well, it is because they fear the war is going to touch their family. It's their sons who are going to come home in a casket. It's not Bill Kristol's son who's going to come home in a casket. And it's certainly not the loudmouths on the conservative side in the radio who have any sons over there, is it?
No. And Barry Goldwater must be rolling over in his grave. And
Well, Barry Goldwater, by the way, is my political hero. I loved him when I was a little boy. I thought he was the greatest of all of them. I loved everything he ever said. He was the real McCoy, hard as nails, a real Westerner. He looked like it. He acted like it. He talked like it. And, of course, he was shafted, as the vote was stolen, as you well know, by the same forces that put Obama in power, shafted Barry Goldwater. Now, you could argue there was a reason we were in Iraq. I actually still don't believe it. I think they're the most ungrateful people on the planet. We were promised that we would get reparations in the form of oil. Bush lied not only about WMDs, but he also lied about reparations. The Iraq war fundamentally bankrupted our treasury. What did it cost? Does anyone really know? What, $1 trillion, $10 trillion? Nobody knows what it cost. So you say, all right, the war's over. You liberated 24 million Shiites so they can join Ahmadinejad in creating a greater Persia. Wonderful. I'm glad we just helped Ahmadinejad create a greater Persia. Great. Now they range all the way to the Euphrates. The same mentality from Iran is now in there. At least we had the psycho Saddam Hussein, a Sunni, keeping them under control. Now they're liberated. And what they give us? Nothing. Not a barrel of oil for free. In fact, the oil rights were leased to China, the last I checked. So why were we in Iraq? Nobody knows. It was Bush's blunder. In plain English, he was whispered in his ear by a Weekly Standard crowd, of whom Bill Kristol is the general. He's the general. He's the armchair general. Yeah, go in because they bombed us. Now go into Afghanistan because they didn't bomb us, but they're generally no good, and we're gonna build a nation of Democrats. Democratic, they're gonna go and vote now with a dot on their head. They're gonna go in and vote, and they're all gonna be happy when you put up a camel burger stand. They're gonna put on a little hat and say, "Would you like camel dung with that burger?" Fried, whatever they eat. I don't know, camel burger. I don't think they kill their camels over there. They all can't wait to work in a camel stand selling camel meat. They can't wait to become a real American. They just can't wait to see Walmart on every corner in Kabul, and the McDonald's, and a pizza place. And then they cannot wait. They just can't wait to see internet pornography in every home. They can't wait to see their daughters become whores like the American women. They can't wait to see them wearing tight pants, showing everything you never wanted to see. They just can't wait to see the women walking around like Jezebels. Everything they've ever wanted, they can't wait to come into their country. Let me tell you something. If you were in Afghanistan, you'd be fighting along with them to make sure that the poison doesn't come into their household. And moreover, they would rather not see our legal system come into their country. They'd rather trust their life with a warlord than with a Harvard lawyer. They feel they get more justice from a warlord than they would from Marvin Schwartz from Harvard. And if you don't like what I'm saying, it's too bad. Go sue me. See if you can ban me in America next. I don't care. I'm too old to give a damn. I've earned the right to tell you the way I see it. And I'm going to tell you the way I see it. And you ought to be glad that I'm on the radio. You ought to be glad that you have Michael Savage speaking the truth. Because without me, what would there be? What you'd have is the neocons saying, go to war. War is good. Let your children die. Because we don't have any, because we never even got married. And when we did get married, we married sterile girls in their 30s who don't even want children. They only married us for our broadcast money. Yeah, tell it like it is, man. Yeah, you tell him, Mike. Go, man, go. So here we are. An endless war. First Iraq, now Afghanistan. But you're not over there, are you? Over there, over there. You want the other boys to go over. You want their sons to die. Not your son. You want your son to follow you in your footsteps. That's natural. And you want freedom in America. You think that by killing Afghanis, you're going to have freedom? What the hell are we fighting for? I don't know. The last war we ever fought that made sense to me as an outsider was World War II. In fact, I'm obsessed with World War II. I watch it all the time. I'm obsessed with a military history channel. People say, well, why do you always watch that? Because I love to see the bad guys lose. I know who the bad guys were and the good guys. And I know how it starts with Hitler and the wonderful, beautiful uniforms. And they're all pompous up there, drugged out of their minds, the devil-worshipping Nazis up there, marching around in their clean Hugo Boss outfits. And I see how it ends. It ends with their country in rubble. The 1,000-year Reich lasted only a few years, and the country was destroyed because of the insanity of a few leaders. You look at what a few leaders can do to a people. The Germans were no better or no worse than we are. Do you know that? Are you aware of the fact that the German people themselves were no different than we are? But it took one leader to poison their minds and lead them to the worst part of themselves. And he destroyed their nation. And that's the power of what a leader can do to a nation when there are no checks and balances. That's the power of a dictatorship, that the people can be dragged into areas they never wanted to go. And in order to survive, they say amen. They go along with it. And here we are. Now we have a leader, and we don't know where he's dragging us. We do know that he has dictatorial tendencies. We do know that virtually everything he does is done by hook or by crook. Virtually everything this man does is not straight up. Virtually everything Obama does is crooked, one way or the other, against the will of the American people. It is crooked up and down the line.